Hello everyone, interested in the pattern drafting of this cute 6 pieces bustier dress? Yes, if you want that, just stay tuned as we begin. Welcome to Styles by E, and if you're new here, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, comment anything you want. You tell me in the comment section. So let's go straight into our measurements. Now these are the tools I need for my measurements. My pattern paper is there, so I'm going to start by drawing a baseline, which we all know. If you've been following my tutorials, you know baselines are very important, which is also known as the shoulder line. So from there, we're going to get our bust point, which is 10 for me. Yeah, 10 my boss. But actually, this is not even my dress, it's for my sister. It's for her graduation. I'm so excited to do this. Anyways, so after getting our bust point, we move straight to get our under bust. Her under bust is 12.5 inches. Yes. And after that, we're going to get our half length, which I made it 15 inches. So I'm drawing out my horizontal lines for you to see. So from there, from my half length, I'm gonna get the hip line, which I came down by 7.5 inches. You can see on your screen. I am drawing those horizontal measurements, very important. So the next thing I'll do is to get the chest line, which is 7.5 from the shoulder line, and I use my ruler to draw the straight line, as you can see. So I went ahead to label my horizontal lines, which is from my chest, bust point, under bust, waist, and hip. So the next thing now is to take our measurement. So I'll go to my shoulder line, I will divide my shoulder by 2, mark that point, and from there I'll come down by 1 inch, and then I measured still on that shoulder line. I took 3 inches for the neck, and then I connected those 2 points as you're seeing visible on your screen. That's to get my shoulder slope. So the next thing now is to get my armhole. So that same shoulder measurement I took on the baseline, I'm going to come down to my chest line and take it in order to get a straight line. So when I do that, I'll connect that point from the chest line to my shoulder slope. Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. So the next thing I went ahead to do is to get marker to highlight all those points, because I noticed that the lines were not very visible. So this is me using marker to highlight all those points: chest, bust point, under bust, waist, and hip. So after highlighting all the points, now is to get my armhole. So I took my tape and measured that straight line as you're seeing on your screen. I divided it by 2, and from that point I came in by 1/2 inch. So I'll use my before doing that, I measured her bust point, her bust measurement on the chest line, and then I used my French curve to connect those 3 points. Yes, that is the armhole for the dress. So the next thing is to start the bustier measurement. So I took her nipple to nipple measurement. I measured it from all the horizontal lines down to the hem-line. Yes, that's nipple to nipple measurement. Hers is 3.25 inch. So I took that from all the horizontal measurements. Now from the underbust line, I took 1.25 inch from the left side and 1/2 inch on the right side. I did that for those lines from the underbust down to the hemline, and I used my ruler to draw a straight line as you're seeing displaying on your screen. If you did not understand what I was saying, you can actually watch the video and then you get to comprehend it. So I did that, and then I took my French curve to make where the bustier will sit from the underbust to the bust point, as you're seeing very visible on your screen. Now I still took my tape to measure that same, to draw that line from straight to the shoulder line. I didn't curve it, just a straight line, and then from that line I drew to meet the bust point on the chest line. I took in 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch on both sides, I mean, to prevent it from gaping. So after doing that, I connected my points, and then voila, next thing I'll do is to input all her body measurements, which as you're seeing visible, I'm on your screen, I'm doing it. So as I'm taking her waist measurement, I replaced the data I took and then sewing allowance of 1 inch. I did the same thing for the hips, the bust, and every other important measurement that is to be taken, as you're seeing on your screen. Then the next thing I'll do is to use my ruler to connect all those dots from the bust, from the chest line to the waist to the hip line. Now I didn't want to make it very sharp, so I took my French curve and curved that hip side a little bit so it doesn't look sharp. I hope you're getting my point. Then the next thing I'll do is to mark out the darts and then curve the chest line how I want the neck to be. I don't want it to be sweetheart, I just want it straight. So I use my French curve to curve it, and now I'm cutting the excess part. So please watch how I cut it so you don't make mistakes as you're doing yours.
Say what you wanna say to me now.
After cutting it, I used tape to seal those two parts together in order to get my back piece. So after sealing it, I placed it on a new pattern paper where I got my zipper allowance to be 1 inch. I took it from the edge and then I went ahead to trace the front pattern on the back pattern. It makes it easier rather than taking your measurements over and over again. So after doing that, I measured the dart, which is 3.25 inch, and I went ahead to replace it on the back pattern as you're seeing me doing on your screen. I still went ahead to take back the front pattern so that I'll be able to trace the way I want the back to look from the side, especially the side. It is very important. So I traced it and I arranged it properly with my ruler, and then I went ahead to cut this back piece.
Wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up.
After doing that, I removed the sellotape I used to hold the front piece together, and voila, the pattern for this dress is ready. Very easy. So we're gonna go straight to the material. Now, in making this dress, I got a Duchess shiny face, very nice, very smooth, and it flows. So if you go to the market and you need something like this, it's called Duchess. Some Igbo men call it Malaysian Duchess in Nigerian market. So I'm gonna go straight now to fold my fabric into two, and then I'll place my first piece on it, and while placing it, I use my tape to measure if I can get 5 inches at the hemline. So after rearranging it, I placed that first piece. I remember I folded it, I made it unfold. So I start pinning it. I went ahead to pin it, and then I used my chalk to mark out an allowance in which I used to join the bustier on the fabric at about quarter or half an inch allowance depending on your preference. And I went to the hemline and I measured 5 inches. So I marked that half an inch till I got to the waistline, and then from the waistline I'm going to use my ruler to connect from that half inch I was marking to the 5 inches I measured on the hemline, as you see me. So this helps the front piece to open. This is the first piece of our 6 pieces. Now the next pattern I did, if you notice on your screen, I folded the fabric a little bit bigger and I placed it in the middle. I placed it in such a way that both sides I can be able to get 5 inches from the hemline. If you do not have enough fabric from the side of this pattern, you can try to make it 3 inches, but remember you do the same for the back pattern. So after doing that, I just gave you an advice for free, which I love doing, by the way. Then let me go back to my video. I went back and I measured those half inch from the sides as you're seeing, and from the waistline I stopped there to measure, to join those diagonal line to the hem of the dress. And then from the side I went ahead to add extra 1 inch, and when I got to the waistline I just drew a straight line down to the hemline. So that is that about the front piece of this dress.
You in the morning, say what you wanna say to me now.
Now the back piece, I'm gonna do the same thing I did for the front piece. The only difference with this back piece is just that I'm gonna split the edges into two for my zip, because there is a zipper allowance, and I also took my half inches from the chest to the waistline, and then from there connected it down to the hemline to give it that flare look as you're seeing on your screen. And I'll go ahead to do the same thing for the side. And please, an advice, when you're cutting this, make sure you label it. If you're gonna so that you like reduce the way you have problems when you're making the dress, you label and put arrows on it. It aids. So this is for the final piece of this dress, which is the back. Yes, the back part. So I did the same thing like how I did for the front, and I cut everything out. So guys, with this we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, give me a thumbs up to encourage me to post more interesting tutorial videos. So just enjoy the rest of the cutting, and see you guys in my next tutorial. Bye.
Wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to you now.